Manchester City defender Jason Denayer is in hot water. Denayer. He will be he's not denying it.
No, he's taking credit.
He's a player that played on loan at Sunderland this season, and there was a video that emerged of him kicking someone in the head over the weekend when he was in Brussels, I believe. There was a scuffle going on. His friend, I think, was getting the shit beat out of him.
Yes.
And he reacted to, in all fairness, what most people, if they saw their friends getting beaten up, would do is to try and intervene and stop it. But also, I also believe there's another way of thinking when you are a football player or you're a certain stardom, is like you need to somehow, I don't know, it's impossible, but try and take yourself out of the situation and imagine what you should be doing as someone who is a football player and is going to be looked upon with more scrutiny, especially when you use something that is a talent to you to try and intervene, which is kicking someone in the head, which can be very dangerous, especially if you've got a very lethal shot on you. Or like we were talking about on camera, if Rubin goes to kick me with his right foot, I'm not going to be as scared, but if he kicks me with his left, I'm probably going to be swerved around the corner at some point. So here's the video, and we'll discuss afterwards.
The person in question is in the top right. He has the dreadlocks in that video. And the quotes that followed, again, it's a tough what if for some people, because if you see your friend getting, mobbed by one or two people, and that's the aftermath of it, what do you do to help?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been, to me, there's no difference if he just got down on one knee and punched the guy in the head. I understand he's a football player. I understand his right foot is probably more deadly than his right hand in this situation. But regardless, if you read the quotes afterwards, for one, he's not denying it and he's not trying to hide from it. He said he got caught up in the situation. Of course, I regret to have been caught up in a conflict that was not mine to begin with, but I saw my friend was in real danger and I had to interfere and protect him. And then there was a quote from the BBC to give more context. What happened afterwards, which I haven't seen any videos for yet, but I'm curious, is he then gets pushed away, this is Denayer, from the scene, and about 40 people start to fight. Jason went to his car, which was destroyed 50% by friends of the guy, but he went home and told the police. The police have made a report, but there are no charges against Jason. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's like a giant fight. Like 40 persons come afterwards, which I'm curious to see what that looked like besides what the obvious looks like of 40 people.
Yeah, he's
throwing fists.
And he said he reacted instinctively, as like what I was stating at the beginning before showing the video is, everyone's going to have those moments where you react instinctively. We are on camera, so we maybe are even going to be held to slightly more scrutiny than someone who's not on camera. So you try to think, how would I react in a situation that I think would serve best fit for the person involved, but also not come back to cause me any further scrutiny? Because if someone sees me, if you're getting beat up in the middle of the street and I go in and I attack someone and try to help the situation or help you in the situation, I'm still going to face further scrutiny than someone there who's perhaps not in front of a camera or anything, because that's just the way it works, unfortunately, and it's not always fair. In this situation, I'm not going to hold the guy in too much of a negative light, because I feel like his friend was on the bottom of a man getting just literally beating him up, and in that moment, he's going to use what he has to stop the situation. Would I have thought, if I was a Manchester City spokesperson or someone who's involved with him or his agent, I would rather him just maybe tackle the guy and try to stop him from continuing forward. But kicking him in the head, it's something that he thinks is going to be maybe effective in that situation, but you don't know how much force he could have caused that could have led to further damage, and you never know, that could be his career out the window. That's why I get when people are responding, what do you want the guy to do? It's his friend getting beat up. I don't think there's any right answer, but you do run the risk, if you happen to be a professional footballer who has a weapon that happens to be your right foot, that on paper is going to be more powerful than someone else, and that man and someone's head's there, you can cause some serious damage. All of a sudden you're looking at jail time and your career's out the window.
It's true. Touch on a couple things. One, the joke in this is Man City kind of needs this type of defense with some heart in the back four. But the jokes aside, what I think you're trying to get at before in terms of the on-camera, off-camera thing, public scrutiny opposed to like an image not really being affected too much. For example, if this were to happen in this exact same scenario for whatever, a friend who works in accounting, right? Doesn't mean they're not going to face any repercussions from their job. If there's any charges brought up, of course, there's a good chance that their career could also be potentially harmed or ruined. They just don't have to face Twitter jail.
Yeah, of course. That's the thing. That's what I mean by facing public contempt.
And don't get me wrong. It's not like either or is better or worse. They're both detrimental to a career. It's just Twitter jail sucks.
Yeah, of course. And whenever there's any situation involving an athlete, you always try to understand how they got into that situation and if it could have been avoided. Because if you are a superstar and you have, as we always talk about, the privilege of being able to do something that most would kill for a living, you got to try and take yourself out of these situations as much as possible. Like, it's the same thing when we talked about Jahlil Okafor, who was involved, the NBA player who was involved in the scrap out here and was punching people. That wasn't the first time he's been involved in any altercation, so you think to yourself, all right, you just need to take yourself out of it. If you need to, when anything happens outside of a club or whatever, you just need to remove yourself from a situation, and that's easier said than done, especially if your friend is on the ground and getting beat up.
Depends on the situation. If you ask Thabo Sefolosha, who did nothing wrong.
Yeah, exactly. and that's the thing is, like, if someone maybe sees that you are of certain stature, maybe they try to goad you, maybe they try to get a reaction out of you because they know they can capitalize on that situation.
But that's been happening not just in the sports, but to public figures
of course.
For years and years and years. The reason why I wanted to do this story specifically was, yes, Man City defender Jason Denayer, who's not a household name. I just don't want to be the outlet who's like, oh, if it's not a known name, don't cover the
not Vincent Kompany
story. If it's not Vincent Kompany, don't cover the story. I think it was still interesting. And it's also one of the cases where it's not just look at this video of this guy kick someone in the head.
Yeah,
this guy fight this person. Look at this video fighting this person, because we talk about hooliganism a lot of the time. But in this case, it says Man City. He's on loan to Sunderland. Is he coming back?
Yeah, so he'll be back after this season. And he's a Belgian international, 21 years of age. He's got a bright future ahead of him.
Yes.
And Belgians, of course, I think produce some of the best defenders. Vincent Kompany, one of them, I'm sure he looks at as his idol. So it's not going to be an easy time for him at the moment. There's shades of grey. I don't think that he's going to be brought in for further questioning in Manchester City, but I'm sure someone will have a word in his ear saying you need to try and avoid these sort of situations. If it means not going out as much or not running in a crowd that maybe is involved in any sort of violence, I don't know. You can't understand. You can't predict everything. He's a young guy. He's going to live his life, but at some point, like if this happens furthermore down the line, then you start to think, all right, you just need to take yourself out of the situation if you value your career more so than anything else. It's like when we talk about the likes of John Jones and these guys, you just got to remove yourself from any of these situations. Not great. I'm not comparing him to John Jones.
Walks face first into these
situations. That guy literally runs head first into any situation that will cause
head first.
scrutiny. Very much so.
Comment below, boys and girls.
Comment below.